Good morning and welcome into this special Saturday edition of the American Huddle alongside college football analyst Andy Gresh. I'm Haley Outen and we are ready for a full slate of games today. In fact, 4 games in conference play across the American. Andy, let's kick it off with Tulane at Cincinnati. Now the Green Wave turned heads last week and the Bearcats have yet to meet their match. Who rises to the occasion in this conference matchup?
Look, I've been big on Cincinnati all year. I love the win that Tulane, though, just got against Memphis. And I think for Cincinnati, this game is a little more difficult. Tulane's got the ability to run the football. I want to see a little more out of their passing game. Give me 150 yards and maybe 2 touchdowns from Jonathan Banks, and that could be a real equalizer here. But I just think Cincinnati, Haley, is rolling. The quarterback, Desmond Ridder, has played fantastic so far. I think Cincinnati gets it done, but Tulane has really put their flag in the ground and sort of turned their season around from one that looked like was going to go off the exit ramp.
Now, UConn heads to Memphis for a 7 p.m. Eastern kick. Neither team has a win in conference play. Who prevails in this game to hopefully start flipping the script before it's too late in the year?
Yeah, I can't go against Memphis here, considering their ability to score. And we've seen them put up as many as 70 on a UConn defense before. So I think Memphis is going to come out. They're going to score. They're going to score early. For UConn right now, David Pindell's doing all that he can, but there just isn't enough around him at this point. And the young corners in the secondary for UConn have had some issues. I expect Memphis to come away with a big victory and a big margin of victory.
Now, if the Huskies are able to slow down the Memphis offense, specifically Darrell Henderson, like Tulane did last week, what do the Tigers need to do to adjust to still get points on the board?
They need Brady White to throw the football and throw it efficiently, and I think they've got the weapons to be able to take advantage of the youth in the secondary. And look, this, Haley, is where scheme can really matter. Double moves, giving those young freshman corners for UConn different kinds of looks, running different players at them, lining guys up in the slot, trying to get them to misidentify. I think Mike Norvell and his staff can have a big impact in this game plan to take advantage of some of those young corners and what they haven't seen yet.
ECU also heads to Temple today. Now the Pirates and the Owls, both teams still trying to figure some things out this year, but they've both proven that they can get it done in certain situations. What is going to be the key for each side to pick up this key conference East Division win?
I mean, for ECU, they got to get great quarterback play. They need the quarterbacks to be a factor, both throwing the ball and running the ball. And for Temple, they got some things to clean up defensively. They gave up some yards to Boston College. That is another Power 6 opponent. But Temple, I thought, they were in that game, and that was a bit of a rock fight. Even though the score got high, I thought there was still the traditional Northeast, we're going to punch you in the mouth kind of battle. I think Temple is ready for this one. ECU obviously has to go on the road, travel a little bit, but I think Temple's set up to get a win. Which quarterback doesn't turn it over the most will be the team that wins.
SMU at UCF tonight. The Mustangs riding a 2-game winning streak. The Knights 17 straight. How do the Mustangs keep pace with the Knights?
Well, they're just going to have to try to score with them. And there are not a lot of teams in college football who have the ability to score with UCF. And that's basically saying, well, you know what, we want to take them on at their strength. But I just don't see any other way that SMU can really hang in this game unless they're going to score 40 points to be around. I think getting an early lead could help them. But boy, UCF has just been rolling this year. And Mackenzie Milton is as live a Heisman candidate as anybody in college football.
Let's move out of conference play for 2 games on the schedule. Now, USF comes up here to New England to face UMass. Andy will be on the call
That's
for
right.
that
I
game,
got that
so
one.
looking forward to that. But the Bulls are coming off of a bye week. How can they use that time to not only prepare for this game, but to heal their bodies? What will we see?
I was just going to say getting healthy is really key at this point as they get ready to really sink their teeth into the meat of conference play. If you're USF, you want to continue to see growth out of the quarterback position. You want to see them go on the road and get themselves a win against a team that I think they know they can beat. There's a little bit of controversy out at UMass this week. I think that'll settle down before game time. But if you're USF, I mean, Blake Barnett and crew, just go be you. Go do your thing and make sure you don't give up the big play to UMass. They eliminate the big play. They should be in really good shape at the end of this one.
The last game we're taking a look at today is Navy at Air Force. Andy, the quest for the Commander-in-Chief's trophy begins. Now, the midshipmen haven't won this trophy in a couple of years. How fired up are the mids going to be to start this thing off on the right note this season?
Haley, it's interesting because it is such the Commander-in-Chief's trophy, there's only a couple teams that can win it, as we know. And I think when you have a goal that you can set and go after during the season, it sort of takes you out of the whole, what's our conference record? What are we on the road? How are other teams doing in terms of playing in conference? It's the first step to them getting the Commander-in-Chief trophy. So it's a little different sort of focus this week that I think is good for the middies at this point. I think they found their quarterback, and that situation has kind of settled down somewhat. But we know Air Force. I mean, they're very difficult to prepare for. It's kind of like preparing for Navy if you're an opponent outside of those service academies. But there's a different level of pride that's going to go into this matchup that's a little different than just your traditional college football game.
No question, we'll see a good game between Navy and Air Force as the service academies begin their quest, as we mentioned, for the Commander-in-Chief's trophy. But looking back to the 4 conference games on the schedule today, what matchup will surprise people the most?
Ooh, what matchup will surprise people the most? I think Tulane is going to play well. I give them that chance against Cincinnati. That's the one, and again, I'm sort of falling in love with Cincinnati the way I kind of did with USF last year, and it's hard not to given what Luke Fickell has done. I would say that, and something tells me Temple's going to play pretty well this week.
Who is a big name heading into this season that we really haven't talked about much yet this year that you think is going to have a breakout week?
I think Raquel Armstead, the running back from Temple, he did have 4 touchdowns last week, but if you look in the weeks prior and how Temple was very much struggling, I mean, for the first couple of weeks, we were talking about how the Temple defense and special teams were scoring touchdowns more than their offense. I think Armstead's starting to feel it a little bit. I think he has a big, big week.
Now, this is an important week across the American Athletic Conference. Earlier this year, they set out on this mission, an initiative rather, Powerful Minds. It's Mental Health Awareness Week. We're going to see players with green stickers on their helmets and a lot of promotion to end the stigma for mental health. How important is this mission for the conference?
Well, I think not only for the conference, but college football as a whole, Haley. And look, there are a lot of guys that I played with in the 90s when we played in a very different era. You had double sessions for, 30 days, for crying out loud, and you really beat yourself up. And now I think we've become not only much more sensitive to the issues of people who have mental health problems, but I think in the football community, it's okay to say something isn't right. Me, as a guy who played in the 90s, I've had a lot of my former teammates, they've gone for CAT scans. They want to know what's going on. They want to know what's coming down the road, considering everything that we know about CTE and brain trauma. And I think it's a couple of things. We've now become a much more tolerant society to issues like this. And with all the studies of brains that have gone on, we have a lot of science. We now understand it more than ever and can help people. But it starts with, hey, I need help. If you do that, there's a lot of people who can help you. And that's why it's important for the American and every league in college football to be on board with an initiative like this.
Yeah, the Powerful Minds initiative encouraging those that are experiencing any types of issues to never be afraid to ask for help, but also celebrating the achievements that are taking place in the classroom. So be on the lookout this week, the Powerful Minds Mental Health Awareness Week across the American. Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of the American Huddle. We'll see you back here next week. On behalf of Andy Gresh, I'm Haley Outen. Have a great rest of your weekend.